Aloha,
Aloha.
and welcome to Wisdom Dialogues with Hope Johnson, coming to you from Upper Kapoho at Leia's place on the beautiful big island of Hawaii. Yay! We are, what are we, like a couple weeks into the isolation thing that most of the world has been
Shelter in place.
It seems like, anyways. I mean, really, what is most of the world? You have a perception of some news that's saying some stuff.
Oh yeah. Fake stuff.
Yeah. Drive around and some places are closed. Some people are not coming out. Lots of people are not coming out. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Who's
relaxing. Plenty of parking. Stores aren't packed.
It's very relaxing. It's like, who's not having fun, you know? Your spirit is always having fun, always. No matter what you think you're not having fun. You think, I don't like this, I'm not having fun. Maybe you're having an argument with someone. You're like, oh, I don't like this isn't fun. But your spirit is always having fun, which means that you can have fun too, no matter what the circumstances seem to be. The circumstances actually are not, and I've said it before, I'll say it lots more times, I'm sure. There's nothing here. There's nothing happening here, really. The circumstances that you have a projection of are a projection of a feeling. They're a projection of a feeling of separation, that's all. The circumstances that you get thinking that are your own circumstances, that are the circumstances of your life, they're meaningless. They're not really there. And because of that, they're super changeful too. They can change in any moment. See? We're having even a perception of like a whole worldwide thing going on. The power of the mind is to change anything in an instant. Anything. So it's not a matter of what you see. It's not a matter of what you see dictating what you believe, but the other way around. You know, what you believed, what you wanted to see is what you see. It's a sense of separation being played out. Yay. So when you take it as, oh, I made this up. This is what I wanted to see. This is exactly what I wanted. You're open to a new expression. You're open to allowing this illusory sense of intensity, maybe, or anger or frustration or boredom or anything like that. Allowing this sense to teach your mind what the thoughts are doing to you. Now, one of my friends was asking me, how do I stop reacting to people? Like when people are telling me how dangerous I'm being because of the things that I say, how dangerous I am because of the things that I say, how do I stop being so reactive to them? Well, that's not really up to you because your reactions are playing out of a feeling. So, you know, the clarity comes in watching, not in trying to maneuver your own body or maneuver your own words or manufacture how you're going to do it, but actually watching. Because whatever you have a perception of yourself doing, any reaction or anything, is the past playing out. So it's not a matter of trying to get yourself to give the right, correct response, but it's watching how you do react in the recognition that you made this, or at least willingness. It starts with willingness to recognize, I made this. See? And you made it for learning. So you can use it for learning. And that's why the feeling, that the upset feeling, is such a blessing, because it shows you right there what you are doing to yourself by believing the thought. I mean, look, it's a feeling that's a projection of a thought. None of these feelings are really real. They're just projection of a thought. The feeling is also made of thought. So the thought gets projected as a feeling, and what people normally do is resist that feeling instead of get the feeling and use it as a teacher. Use it as a guide. See, people will go into judgment, well, oftentimes of themselves and also of other people. You know, going into judgment automatically about how your behavior is. Even analyzing, it's already judgment. Even analyzing your behavior. You know, you're asked to be a happy learner because that will allow learning to occur. That's what will allow learning to occur. You know, you're not going to get it if you don't want it. You're not going to get that teaching if you don't want it. And remember, you know, you don't really have anything to learn. You could say the teaching is for consciousness or for the ego or something like that. You don't really have anything to learn. But you taught this consciousness, you taught this ego who you are. Okay? So it's just showing you who it thinks you are based on what you taught it. So now you're teaching in the opposite direction. You know, if you're following this, you're teaching in the opposite direction. You're undoing that teaching. But you're always teaching from one guide to the other guide, or the other guide. It's like you're teaching from fear, you're teaching from love, but you're always teaching your mind. See? You're always teaching your ego and your consciousness who you are. So it comes back and it shows you who you taught it that you are. And there's nothing bad or wrong about that. Do you see that? Do you see how it's not a guilty thing? It's not a guilty thing. You know, you thought you were limited. You thought you could be threatened by something. You know, you thought that you separating yourself from reality made you a target of God's punishment. You're not really. You're not really. But you taught yourself that, so the ego is playing it out for you. All the things that we perceive here. There's nothing else going on. That's why anything that comes up, whether it be a pandemic or an argument with a family member, you know, I've heard about this lately, people having arguments in their homes because now they're hanging out with their peeps all the time. You know, arguments in their home. Wow, we sure are arguing a lot. You know, it's like once you have that once you kind of get that knack, that, you know, that emotional IQ, you're not going to have any. You're just not going to have any. Someone might come up with an argument with you, but it's like not a problem for you. You don't engage in it, and it's just not an argument. There's just no problem. You can, you know, you can have all kinds of chaos going on around you, and you don't have to engage. But if you do find yourself engaging, just watch and notice that you don't really have to engage. And kind of laugh about it because it's funny. You know, it's the only reason, what justifies engaging is feeling threatened. So watch that. Watch it. You'll see for yourself. You'll see for yourself if you watch it. What is justifying that? What is justifying me getting engaged with this? Upset, argument, judgment, right. Whatever. You're right. I know. Isn't that awesome? So you could just watch that.
Well, you first get into defensiveness. You want to defend yourself But then it's like you say, it's the thing to do is to say, oh, thank you, I appreciate that, what you're saying about me, and don't have to say anything about yourself or defend or whatever.
Yes.
You just open up to receive whatever the person is giving you, and that's all. And that disarms the whole thing.
Yep. And let yourself be natural. Don't try to do that. Watch, just watch, because in you know, if you watch and it seems like you didn't do it right, great. That's what you're here for.
Practice.
Well, you know, the practice, you could say, is seeing, you know, a willingness to be watchful to these things, and especially watchful to how the ego makes you into a bad learner, let's say. You know, where it's not like that at all. It's like it's like, you know, you kind of get sleepy sometimes into the ego. So then you won't be there. You won't be present, and that's okay, because you follow it following an ego thought that makes something feel stressful, something feel threatened. It makes you sleepy, sort of. So then when you engage, you don't have the presence of mind, let's say, to make that choice in that moment. But then after the fact, after you find yourself in that non-presence, watch how the judgments of the ego come up about it, you know, and remember to be a happy learner. You know, that's something that it's something to be taken like, what a relief. I don't have to beat myself up about this. And any thoughts about this are completely meaningless. See? It's just like immediately a sense of relief. And that's really, you know, you deserve it. And it's only in thinking that you can't have it that you don't get it.
I don't deserve it.
Yeah. You can't have it because you don't deserve it, because you cut yourself off, and now you have to go after your own joy, go after your own happiness by making it somewhere in the world. See? And that is the very nature of who you are is just pure joy. You can say the essence is joy. It's not really the nature. The essence of you is always having fun. And when the image of you seems to not be having fun, something has gone wrong in thought. If you thought against yourself. There's no way anything in the world can possibly make you think against yourself. It's the other way around. So that's why, for me, I don't mind if I like something or don't like it. I don't mind. I could like it or not like it. Whatever it is, it could be used to make my heart glad. See? Because it's not used as something that can go against me. That includes, you know, some things that you think you want. Things that you think you want to manifest. See? There's nothing, there's no future and nothing coming. Let's just put it like that. It's not like that. It's not like there's this two-dimensional timeline that's real. Goes from past to future. It's not like that thing. It's not like that at all. That's something that we made up. That's something that we make believe. There isn't a future. There isn't a future manifestation to strive for. You may see something manifest and it may seem like the future, but if you make that your goal, you're relating with everyone in a way that wants to use them to get to your goal. That's how it works. When you want something in the world, you feel lonely, you feel like you need more of something, the people that you see, your mind's going to try to use them to get that thing. The people that you meet, your mind tries to use them to get that kind of sense of comfort. And they feel that. They feel that. Whether they're aware of it or not. It's sensed in their body's energy field. That's how it's like we're drawn together based on how we're perceiving. So if say someone wants to use some bodies to get some things accomplished. Okay, I know I need to get some things accomplished here, and I can do by myself, so I'm going to need some bodies. See? And then the next thing you know, all of the thoughts start turning toward that. How am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? And the people that are attracted to that kind of vibration, the people that are attracted are also vibrating in a way that it's like, how can we have some kind of conflict relationship here? That's how they meet. That's how they meet. That's how we meet, through using. The using of bodies. We don't need any body. You know why? Because these bodies occur to us automatically. We don't have a choice. There's no choice in it. And if you're chasing after a body, it's a setup for despair. And, oh, good, I found it. I found that one. I found that body. Maybe it's like the perfect life partner. Maybe it's a perfect business person. You know, it's like the ego sees that as, from the way the ego looks at it, a match made in heaven. And so much relating, people don't even see one another because they relate to each other as a body. Like, what have you done? See? Or, oh, you didn't return my text, let's say. What have you not done? And the thing is, when you think you want something of the world, like say, oh, I really want to be able to go back to dancing or something like that. I really miss dancing. I really want to go. Okay, missing is a sign right away you've thought of it against yourself. And it's so funny because people will go, I miss such and such, and people will agree. Like, missing is valid. Like, missing has a real justification. It's a self-attack every single time. You know. Just that feeling. Look how it is. I miss that.
Well, how can I miss you if you won't go away?
See, there could be missing, and missing could be fun. Look, there's a feeling behind every word. There's a feeling behind every thought. So, you know, if the ego speaks through your mind and says, I miss such and such, watch the sense of it. What's that sense? Is it serious? Is it sad? Then it doesn't mean anything. Hey, Shanti.
Hey.
Welcome.
I'm in your background.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Good thing you've been working out. You look awesome.
Nice.
Yay. So I miss or I long, I long for something. This is what I want. Even I have this vision. It's nothing. It means nothing. It's not relevant. It's like a block. It's like a block. It's like a blinder. It keeps you from knowing what it is that you really want. You know how you know what you really want? Moment to moment. You're asking and you're being shown moment to moment. You can't really grasp onto it because there's a perception, there's a perceived world. There's this sense that you want something in the world, but it's only one thing that you want. Nothing in the world is going to give you that. It's just going to set you up for wanting again. See, it's kind of like, you could say it's kind of like wasting time, if time was a real thing. It's like spending more time in suffering, basically. It's like, oh, I want to go around again. I want to go around with this wanting this thing. Oh, I really want. No, you don't. No, you don't. It's fake. You don't want it. You want one thing. And everything else that shows you that you want it is like lying to you. Because you want it to. Because you want to keep the world up. It's like this whole thing with all these different timelines just swirling around. And what's keeping it up? Fear of not existing. That's all that's holding it up. Fear of not existing. And the ego should be very afraid of not existing because it doesn't exist. But that's not who you are.
It thinks it exists.
Yes, it thinks that it exists. And that's the fear that's felt, though. It's felt like it's personal fear. The sense of threat, anything like that, it's perceived as if it's a personal fear, but it's really the ego fear of finding out that it doesn't exist. It's interesting the way I see it, the way it's been shown to me is it's like when the world is starting to kind of fall away, where you're starting to recognize, oh, it's just this swirling thing. And it'll be like a sense of fear. Like, oh shit. And then a sense of, let me make that real again. And so every time there's like a trigger, you're feeling all peaceful, and then you get a trigger or something, that's your mind reacting to, let me make this real again. Because if it just falls silent, like really peaceful, it falls really peaceful, it's not there. You'll see right through it. You'll see right through it, and then you won't have this identity as a person. That's super scary. That's super scary for the ego. Okay, and let me tell you, you still have the identity of a person if you can perceive yourself in a body, and you can perceive other people in a body. So the ego will try to tell you, oh, you don't have an identity as a person anymore. Don't buy it. There's that.
There's so much hanging off of it.
What's that?
Is that because there's apparently so many things hanging off of it?
Well, it's just a world of separation. If you can perceive a world of separation, like there's a body over there and there's a body over here, like that, which, the body's eyes, that's what the body's eyes see. And that's what the body's eyes see until you don't want that with your whole heart, that you don't want illusions anymore with your whole heart. See, that you're done with them. And then there's every single illusion that arises is for that. And as you take them like that, like that's what they're for. As you take them like that, it gets easier and easier to see. And more restful while you're in it. And you know, there's a fear in there. There's a major fear of losing this illusion. It's really every single fearful thing that arises for you, every frustration, every upset, every sickness, everything that arises for you is a manifestation of that. You know, Jesus said we're all born in sin. You know, and that's what he's pointing to with that. It's not like you're bad. It's not like you're bad, but in perceiving in this world, it's like a perception of sin, which doesn't exist. If you say this kind of stuff to other people, you might find that they think you're dangerous and they want to stop you from saying this kind of stuff. Just watch. Watch all of the reactions. Watch their reactions. Watch your reactions. You don't have to do anything different because you're not doing anything. Just watch. Naturally, you'll be able to communicate with people. It evolves all on its own. It takes you not making a judgment of yourself about it. Allowing the judgments, you could say it's kind of like surrendering your judgments so that the learning can happen. Because as long as you take it as if you've done it wrong, the learning cannot occur. Hooray. Yeah. As soon as you start to analyze yourself or another person, you've gone to sleep. Just know you can wake up. Just ask. It's instantaneous. When you ask sincerely, it's instantaneous. People love to apply this kind of stuff to the illusion. Like if I ask this sincerely and I can get that thing. Like manifesting and stuff like that. If I do it like this, then I can get it like this. And that's awesome for honing some skills. And then it's misdirected because it's directed at the world. It's directed at trying to get something in the world. So it's a setup for suffering. You can use that same skill that was developed to try to manifest things to look right through these senses like you're imprisoned at times. Get that feeling of the imprisonment, but know that it has no justification in reality. That allows those thoughts to be interpreted by the guide in you, the guide that knows who you are. Okay? The guide that knows who you are and also knows what you think you are. It's the same guide in everyone. It was given all of us. That guide was given all of us, which is only one of us, when we took on the thought that we were separate. If there's willingness to give over your thought of self-analyzing or analyzing another person, your guide will show you. Your guide will take it from you. Your guide will act for you, through you. And one guide or the other is going to act for you or through you. It's your spirit guide, or what you can call the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, or the ego. It's always one or the other. You don't do anything. One or the other of these guides does it for you. Every moment, even in nighttime dreaming. And in watching how things are playing out, watching what choice, because you're actually choosing one guide or the other. So when you watch what your choice brings in the way of feeling, you watch what your choice brings, it brings you closer to making the choice that you really want to make, but we're feeling too fearful. So the choice was made for the ego instead. You always have a choice. That's the main thing to remember, that you always have a choice and you're always making a choice. Not between things, though. When you agree with a thought that says that you had a choice between things, you're making a choice for the ego.
So the choice is always truth and illusion, love or fear.
Yes, it's always between those two things. But look at how it seems like you have choices in the illusion. There will be like, I chose this and I chose that, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with saying it. But when you actually believe it, you don't see the choice that you really have and unconsciously make a choice for the ego. See?
Well, we just see the state of the world now, and I just don't see anything in it worth choosing for anymore. It's like the whole thing is just a complete illusion. Everyone's in an illusion of fear of disease and death.
Everyone is?
Well, the consensus trance, the herd mentality, the crowd is all being herded into this mindset, this fear porn, and what is there to want in this world? You just see that it just breeds this illusion, this fear, this crippling energy. Jesus says, "My kingdom's not of this world. Seek first the kingdom. Go within. The kingdom is within. There's nothing out there to want, or you just see the results of what's out there. What happens out there? This is the culmination of the grand culmination of this world we're experiencing right now."
Definitely times like these are great for seeing that you didn't want it in the first place. What did I think I was going to get here?
That's for sure. This is what we're getting. That's all you can get from it, it turns out in the end.
There's always, yes, it's always set up like that. It's always set up like that. So what I'm talking about then is using your feelings. Using those upset feelings, because when you get a sense that the world is in turmoil, where does that come from? Where does that sense come from?
Well, I'm at peace. You just see the people.
Well, obviously not. Obviously not. That's the thing. If you have a perception of people who are not at peace, that's coming from your body's energy field. I know I've been saying this for years. I know I have.
Yeah, well, there's the appearance, but then when I'm peaceful, then that generates more peace in the appearance of fear around me. I don't bring up the virus. I don't talk about the fear. I'm just bringing it up now in our meeting. I don't talk about this to anyone because I don't.
It doesn't really matter if you talk about it. It's the energy, and it doesn't matter if you say anything or not. It doesn't matter if you say anything. It's just the idea that there's a frantic world, that is a projection coming from your body's energy field, meaning it is a feeling. It's a feeling. So
That's
it's
what
like
I
a
pick
feeling from here projects. See? So it's like the ego will tell you that it's out there. That keeps that sense within yourself, and the thought that's manufacturing that sense from being seen by you. because it so seems to be out there.
Yeah, no out there.
Yeah, there's no turmoil in the world. There's no turmoil in the world, you know.
There's just
I don't
projections of turmoil.
I don't see any turmoil.
And the projection only comes, anyone's projection, whether it's another person or anything, it only comes from your sense of being a body. It comes from your sense of being a body. So knowing that it comes from your sense of being the body, that gives all of the responsibility to you.
Yeah, because all the threat is about the body. Sickness and death is what's happening.
It doesn't matter what the threat seems to be about. It's the fact that it's your projection. The fact that it's your projection, even another person that seems to be in turmoil, or a world or anything that seems to be in turmoil, it's a projection coming from there, and it's asking for compassion. It's really asking for compassion, which you can allow right now.
That's it. Yeah, compassion is what it takes instead of judgment. Like you
Yeah,
said.
that's exactly what allows you to see through the world, is that compassion. See? It's not like you could just go, oh, I don't want the world, it's shit. Get it into a ball and toss it over there. You know, it's not like that. It gets resolved through compassion. And when you want it resolved more than anything, you'll be choosing to allow compassion. See, it's so funny how it's missed a lot, where there's choosing lack of compassion over compassion when it really seems like someone is doing something. Like it's someone doing something. Like that's not coming from your body's energy field. That's where you're asking for compassion. And you put that person supposedly out there in your mind to help you ask for compassion. It seems like they need something, but they're asking in your name. They're asking for you. See? That's why this seems really dangerous to people too, because the way it's taken a lot, you know, sometimes it takes years. As you can see, it takes years and years for that click to happen, because there's such this sense of separation. It doesn't matter what I say, it's so strong. And you know, even in my own sense, I'll get a sense where I feel like I'm separate and react out of separation. It's just that, you know, there's a willingness to see it, so it's seen really fast and dropped. See? But there's a lot of this holding on to, that there's a person out there being this, being such and such. Like there's really a person out there being something. There's all kinds of turmoil. There's turmoil in the mind. And as long as that remains, it remains unseen when it's taken to be about someone else or the world at large, let's say. Like the world's doing something.
Well, isn't that why we create the world, as a sense of guilt for having separated? So there's an outside world that we can judge or say is guilty, or they're screwed up or whatever. Then
That's right. It's putting it over there, so you don't see it. You don't see where it's coming from. It's putting it over there.
So that's really what creates this world, pretty much, isn't it?
It's made up.
Yeah, that's what makes it up.
Yeah, that's the makeup of the world. Yes.
That's how we invented it.
That's the makeup of the world. Exactly. So it's whole, the world's whole, you could say, purpose is to show you evidence that the guilt that you thought you have is real. So it's to show you that evidence. It's to give you evidence of that. So as you teach your ego, not anyone else's ego. Teach your ego. Teach your consciousness that none of this stuff is real. Then you're going to see less and less reflections of guilt. You'll see fewer and fewer reflections of guilt and feeling of guilt. The reflections come from the feeling. So you can't have that reflection without the feeling. So it's this guilty thought that you separated yourself, and a guilty feeling, and then there's these manifestations that reveal to you that that guilt is justified. To the ego, the guilt that you feel is very justified, and the ego is going to prove it to you over and over again until you're willing to say, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't need that. You don't even have to you don't even have to respond when a person wants to judge you, let's say. That's the judgment coming from your own mind. It's a self-reflection. A judgment coming from your own mind just so that you can heal with them, you could say. Because from their perspective, that judgment is about themselves too. So it's like giving you an opportunity. It's like we heal together. It's not like one person heals another person. We heal together. We go together. So wherever there's a sense, I brought up a little bit earlier, text messaging. You don't get a reply to your text message that you sent someone. Watch that. What is it? What is it that takes that personal? What is it that takes that to mean something? It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. It's like the ego takes this thing. Okay, if I send this thing out, then they're supposed to get back with me. If they don't, then that means such and such and such and such. And, let's take it even a step further. I heard someone talking about someone ghosting them. Who gives a shit? When that kind of stuff seems to happen for me, I don't even care. It does not matter. It's like, oh, that person was going to be there and now they're not. Okay. It's all good. Well, maybe I won't make plans with them. That's the ego. You don't have a choice in that. You don't have a choice in whether you're going to, it's like people go, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't make it or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. We've made these kinds of things matter. We've made these kinds of things mean something. And look at this kind of conditioning. It sounds like an old lady or something saying, now, Sonny, if someone sends you an email, you got to send it right back, or something. You have to call if you're not going to show up or something like that. You don't have a choice in it, though. You actually don't. It's like these setups. Like, hey, I saw you didn't reply to my such and such. It's like, does it mean something, though? Does it mean anything? No. It doesn't mean anything. People read into all these psychological scenarios. Oh, what's that other person thinking over there? And I just need to check if they're going to respond to me. Maybe they don't think I'm that important. Maybe they don't appreciate me. Maybe I said something wrong a couple of hours ago. See? It is funny. It is funny. It's fun and funny. It's fun just to watch how that whole thing plays out. Watch people seeming like they're irritated with you. Watch you seeming like you're irritated with people. You know what's funny? The more you give people a pass, you just give them a pass, the more you start to get a pass. People go, Hope, how can you just laugh about everything? Like everything. It doesn't matter what it is. And don't people go, hey, what the heck? Take this seriously? Well, sure, they have, but, then they get to know you. They see that's just how you are. What are they going to do about it? I mean, if you're not afraid of them, if you're not afraid of their judgment, if you're not judging their judgment, that's just going to change. Either they'll just go away out of your experience.
They'll ghost you.
They'll ghost you. That's it. Thank you for ghosting me. This was perfect. I mean, I remember being a teenager where I'd feel all stuck up. So what is it?
Stuck on.
What is it? What is it
Stuck
called?
up.
Stuck up? No, not stuck up.
On.
It was it's not any of those.
Oh, okay.
Like hung up on somebody? Like caught up with
Stood up.
somebody?
Stood up.
Oh, okay.
Feeling stood up, and it's like, woo, oh, so sad. It's funny because like when that occurs for me, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I got some alone time.
It's like no body is important. Let's say this: no body is more important than another body. They're all just playing through your perception. They're not like you think they are. You don't need them. So in that sense, you don't need anybody. And then also, you absolutely need everybody who's in your perception at the moment. and you know, it's like they deserve your gratitude and full attention for as long as they're there. It's not like you have to, it's not like they say, well, you're supposed to give me your gratitude, so I'm going to stay here and you can't kick me out or something. It's not like that. It's you don't have a choice and stuff like that. You actually do not have a choice in who is in your physical presence. That's a play of mind. So in recognizing that you don't have a choice, you're not trying to keep, you're not trying to push away, you're not judging any way that you're expressing yourself. You're watching. You're watching a show. You're watching a play of consciousness that's playing for the purpose of awakening from this dream and needing consciousness entirely.
It's got to be a dream. It can't be real.
Well, you know, you could say one way you can know that it's a dream is that the things that occur in dreams are offensive to you. There's no offense in you. You know, there's nothing like that. It's having a dream. As if something can offend you or hurt you or harm you or kill you, make you sick. Like there's a virus that you can make you sick. You can catch it from another body. And you have a choice in which bodies you're going to be in front of. That's a lot of work. I talked to my mom. She's 69 years old. And she gets a kick out of being that age. That's her favorite age. And she...
69.
Yes, she loves it. So
The sex position, she likes that.
she just gets a kick out of the number. She just gets like the connotation of it and everything like that. I'm guessing she probably likes the sex position too, but we haven't had that conversation.
Oh, okay.
At least not in a while. So, you know, she's over there laughing it up. She's laughing it up. She's like, there's nothing to be afraid of. She's like, if it's your time to get something like that, you get it. You don't have a choice in it. It's not like you can avoid it. You know. She's definitely not one of those people that you hear about all these people who are afraid, right? My mom said, no, over there in Arizona, golf is open. She's like, there's a herd of people into golf.
Well, it's not such a contact
They can't
sport.
help it. They can't help it. You know, it's like they're just not that afraid. They're just not that afraid. They can't help it. Golf is way more fun. You hear the stories and read the stories about people who are afraid. Watch this, you guys. It's awesome because this is a shifting thing. Nothing's happening here, remember? Well, watch this. You get this sense that people are really afraid. Oh my God, they're, you see a headline. They're stacking up bodies now they're stacking up bodies. They don't have places for bodies and stuff. That's also coming from your body's energy fields. That's also coming from your, so you can have a different interpretation. You can have a new interpretation of that. That's not like trying to fake it. That's not trying to make a different story or anything like that. But since it's coming in your perception from your own body's energy field, you can be asking for a correction. And you start to see and hear all kinds of different things. It's like your consciousness gets open for more inspirational things. I love it. I go over to the news right now. It's fun. I actually go on to the news and just like watch what, like on the internet, and watch what the head. I don't even need to read any. Once in a while I click in there, but mostly headlines. Watch the headlines. And it's just like, it's fun. It's really fun because you see this headline and it's like you could get for a second kind of like sideswiped. Oh my goodness, and get this feeling. And it's like, oh, that's right. Nothing's happening. That thing gets reinterpreted. You see, using everything like that. Everything. And a thing like the thing that we made up that we're all pretending is happening right now, the thing with the virus, it's a huge opportunity we've made for ourselves. We've given it to ourselves. It's a blessing. The Pope even said it was a blessing. I was so proud of him. I was like, wow, look at that. The Pope saying it's a blessing. That also came from my body's energy field. That's awesome. See?
Yeah, that guru Matt Kahn has got a whole 10-minute video where he's thanking the coronavirus. He has numerous reasons to be grateful for it.
Oh yeah, that's anything. That's anything that seems to occur to you. And there's really, everything has one purpose in this world. Everything only has one purpose. And that's only for awakening the mind. So making everything one thing. That includes this thing, anything that arises. It's not like, okay, my spiritual practice is on hold now. That's what I see. That's what some of my friends have told me anyways. I haven't even seen it directly, but been told that people who kind of have talked along the same lines, now they're taking this serious. See, that's the thing. That's how the ego plays. Oh, but what about this? Isn't this serious? Isn't this really serious? Oh, but look, now your kid is dying. Isn't this really serious? It's like, well, why would it apply to that? Why would it apply to that? And at the same time, if I find myself crying over a kid dying or my kid dying, it's okay. It's just that it's still not justified in reality. That's what lets you to see through the illusion that there are these bodies that can actually die. They're not. They're not alive, and they're not going to die. They're an image in the imagination that arises and passes away in the imagination. That's all. The love that you share between anyone that seems to die or get sick or anything like that, even if they get sick, it's kind of like a practice, a warm up to death. No one can really get sick. It's also coming from your body's energy field. It's also just changing images. Coming from your body's energy field means it first was seen in your own mind. You manufactured that. And then it presents as a feeling, and then it presents in the illusion. That's why when, one of my kids or someone, seems to be sick, they might look sick to me or something like that. I don't believe that they're sick. I don't believe that they're sick. I'm asking for a correction in my mind for perceiving sickness in the first place. That doesn't stop me from taking care of what seems to be something. Maybe putting some essential oils in the diffuser. Or I don't know, putting an extra cover on, whatever it is. If the kids want something, hey, I would really feel more comfortable if you took me to the emergency room. All right, sure. No problem. It's not like you're trying to convince other people, hey, this isn't real. But Mom, there's an axe in my head. This isn't real. But don't you get confused. Don't you get confused and think that that thing that you see is really real. And look, if you find yourself confused, you're not the confusion. You're one step. Keep taking one step back from that. See? When it's like you don't have to identify with the confusion even. It's something that's passing and it's for learning, and it's going to take you to a deeper realization if you're happy about it. Oh, confusion. Hooray. Oh, there's me reacting. Hooray. It's not about trying to stop yourself from being a certain way, being a certain way that, you don't want to see yourself. Fine, that's good to know. You don't want to see yourself like that. Good. Because you're not like that. If you see yourself a certain way, you think you don't want to see yourself, good. Because that's not the way you are. That's what it's meant to show you. So be happy about that. It's just thinking that I'm this way and I want to change myself. I was having a conversation with my son. It's real teenage stuff. I love it. It's real teenage stuff. It's kind of like carried forward, unless you see through it. But my son goes, yeah, I really have to get back into working out. I just really have to, make it. I have to do this thing, And it's like this goal of having to do something, for yourself to kind of control your own life or make yourself or your body into something. That is the distraction. Like, gosh, I really have to get my spiritual practice on. Or, gosh, I really have to get better at not reacting like that. If you just watch, everything moves toward joy. Everything moves toward more and more joy. You don't have to try to manage it. You don't have to use concepts or anything. And then when it comes to my son, just from having lots of experiences with my son, I don't talk with him like that automatically. Like I'm talking with you right now. It doesn't come out like that automatically. It comes out exactly as it needs to. Can that convo go a little bit away? Because it's like we're recording. Thank you. But when you think you have a choice in it, it's like this suffering. It's like this sense like you can't, I have to make myself do this. I want to be in better shape, but then I'm eating all this junk food. Similar to something like that. And that could be applied to anything. I want to be a better business person, but then I'm whatever. I suck at it. Whatever. Whatever the story is. See, I want to be this. I want to be that. Just let the story unfold. It's not meant for you getting something out of it. If you saw what it is, you wouldn't want to get anything out of it. If you saw what this is, you wouldn't want to get anything. You wouldn't want to manifest anything. Because all it is these timelines spinning around. And you know what? We've done them millions of times. We've already done them. And they're just going in a loop. It's like, la-di-da, here we go, around and around and around again. It's nothing. The only thing that has any significance, the only thing that's ever real is love. And that's the only thing that can lift us out of this, you could say. Ultimately, you could say the creator just goes back to me. But it's like you have to be prepared for that in a way that you're not gripping to the illusion. Because if you want the illusion, the creator's not going to go against your will. That's your will. If you say, I want the illusion, no, I want the illusion, even though the creator knows your real will is to be with the creator. But if you say, no, I want more illusion, which we're all doing, that's why we find ourselves here. We're all learning to see through that. As long as we want this world more than reality, there's nothing the creator can do about that. You could say the creator doesn't know about this world. And that's why the creator gave us that spirit that knows who we are. and that also knows who we think we are. That spirit shows us how to unwind, kind of like unravel what we've taught to our ego about who we are. And it's a shared ego. It's not like everyone has their own ego, you know. The mind is completely shared. So it's like out of what your ego thinks you are, you're seeing other people. Out of what the ego has learned, you could say out of what the ego has learned about who you are, you see all the other people. It's the same ego though. It's the same way, all the other people that you perceive. It's another aspect of yourself. And whatever the ego thinks they are, that's their perception of the world. That's why we go together. We heal together. Because these things come up between us. See it? Even the simplest thing. Even the simplest thing. The simplest little slight that you perceive. Oh, I wonder why they said it like that. The littlest anything that you have a perception of, it's for us to heal together. It's like these bodies come together to trigger each other.
So why act? Why share? Why, you mentioned if your child has an accident, why heal? Why help? Why do anything except observe?
That's all you're really capable of doing. You're not doing anything. So there's no why to it.
Mm-hmm. You just say compassion.
See, it's as if you can make a choice about what your body seems to do that it's not really doing. You're not making a choice in that. So that question is itself just meant to cause confusion. Do you see? Mm-hmm. There is no why, because there's no one making a choice like that. It's a play. It's like there's one actor. And then nothing's happening. No one's doing anything. Nothing's been said here. It's like there's this interpretation of an energy that makes the illusion of a girl sitting over here talking. And the words coming out of her mouth seem to be making some kind of sense to you. Maybe. Nothing's happening. So just like that question is a question that's meant to convolute it. See? It's like as if you can make a choice. And I've had people, get kind of pissed at me before and go, well, if that's true, I'm just going to sit here in this chair and that's all I'm going to do. And I go ahead. Let's see if that's what happens. Watch how you get driven around. You're being driven around like a puppet. Scientifically, physically, the way they look at it, it's funny how symbolic it is. The hormones are running everything or something. It's like, it's totally, my son's been watching these shows and he's telling me, Mom, it is a trip. We're not really making any choices of what we do. Our hormones are. And I was like, we're like puppets, dude. We're like puppets. That's not really true because there's no such thing as a hormone, but symbolically, it's pointing. Symbolically, it's pointing. But when you take on as if you had a choice in it, that's where you're projecting guilt onto yourself. See? You'll start to see the whole world and the way it occurs to you. It starts to get kind of psychedelic like. Because you're not doing anything. It seems like you are, but we don't have that sense that you're the one who's doing stuff and you're the one choosing between things to do. it gets very light. It reveals itself as the dream-like illusion that we've created. And it's only, it's like a more appropriate word for it is made up than created. Because it's made up to be destroyed. And it has all these kinds of kind of like warm-ups to that destruction. The body's end is the end of the world as you know it. Your whole perceived world's gone in an instant. And all the other little things are just warm-ups to that. The whole thing is for nothing but awakening your mind. That's why it puts a burden on you when you're not using it for that. When you're using it for some kind of self-fulfillment. You might be able to go along for a little while, happy, happy, happy. Don't worry, all the learning is taking place. It's perfect. And then, boom, dreams dashed. And, that's how you find out if you we're putting some kind of an emotional investment into things. Basically giving it a fear-based emotion. Like, oh no, I can't lose this. I have this baby, I have this project, I have this house, whatever, job. I can't lose this. And then when something passes away, everything that arises passes away. And at any moment, at any moment, anything can change really fast. Once it passes away, the upset that you feel reveals what kind of investment you made in it. Was it investment of love or fear? Love doesn't have any grief around it. There's no grief about it. Whether it happens to be a separation or a death or some apparent loss. There's no if it was related to in love, then there's no cause for grief. It's easy to see. It's just like, I don't want to lose this. Or I hope I get that thing. This person, this object. This imaginary person that could help me build what I want. See? I'm just cracking up. You don't want anything. You don't actually want it. It's a game. It is. It's a total game. There's nothing that is missing. There's nothing missing. All that's just acting like there's something missing. There's something wrong with you. You're not good enough. And it's projecting it outward. So it's this seeking. Do you see how easily it is to just be moved from peace? It's like the ego just will come in around the back door. It's like, oh, okay. Well, the ego will be like, you have peace now, but what about this? Look at what you don't have. I can give you something better than peace. It's like, who minds? Who really minds? It's like, you just like, let the love flow out of you. Let the love flow out of you. And everything that comes out of you is just so beautiful. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You get close with people. You get connected with people who are really you. In a real way. Not in a way, I hope they're the person who's going to do that thing that I want done. I wonder if they'll do this for me. It's like, what do I want? Do I want to get something here in this world? or do I want heaven? That's like that's like the last question you have to ask. You know, it also goes along with just the reminder, I can have peace instead of this. Whatever it seems to be. I can have peace. Oh, I can have peace instead of this. And then all of your movements, all of your emotions get guided and done by the Spirit in you. You don't even have to make any effort. You see, your whole day could be just like, watching how the Spirit moves me now. Instead of, I know what I need to do. Don't get in my way. You know, hurry up. Don't mess up my schedule. I plan to do this. That's one of my favorite things for practice too, is that sense like you are going towards something to do something, and then someone comes into your perception. Like for me, I have kids, so that's pretty easy. Husband even, and they'll go, hey Hope, I need you to do this for me, or I'm hungry, or something like that. And just the sense that I've been imprisoned by that, just that sense, because I had a trajectory to do something, and now it's like coming up, and maybe just in releasing that sense, everything takes care of itself, and it doesn't look any particular way. I don't know how it's going to come out. It doesn't matter to me. Why would it even matter? But it's just easeful like that. And then we don't end up relating with the person as if they're a burden, as if they're interrupting something important, as if they shouldn't be there. See, that's all of that is about us. It's about the self we take ourselves to be. But the ego, the way the ego presents it, it is about you. And there's believing that it's about you. And until you're willing to see that no thought is about you. They don't even touch you. It's kind of like the Creator has you totally protected from all of these vicious projections that you put on yourself. You make an image of yourself. Even the shape of the body and the way the eyes are and everything, and your personality and everything. It's all just, you made an image of yourself. And every single one of those images is hated by the ego. And the ego teaches you to hate it. People feel like they fall in love with each other when, they're taking themselves to be bodies, and feel like they fall in love with each other. And then maybe like really quickly start living together or something. They find out, I hate this person. It's like, all you have to do is spend a bunch of time with a person. All you do is spend a bunch of time with a person, and you'll start to see all your projections playing. This person's kind of a fucking, they were way better in my imagination, actually.
They were better on Instagram.
Yeah. No one's gonna be perfect to the ego. No way. No one is gonna be perfect to the ego. It's like there's this buildup of things, of ideas that you have about the person, about who the person is. The next time you see them, it's like you're carrying all this baggage about them to the meeting. It's like, whatever, all of this stuff that seems to have gone before that's really projected now, because there's no past, really being projected now and held on to right now like baggage. You're going and meeting those people with the baggage about them. So that's why relationships, as they go on, tend to turn sour. Unless there's lots of distance between people.
You don't have a beginner's mind with these people anymore.
Yeah, it's like you know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
See? You know what they deserve. You know what justifications you have for treating them the way you treat them. Yes.
I feel confused about the concept that there's no past and no future,
Yeah.
and then that we are simply playing out past thoughts.
Okay, cool. That's perfect. That's perfect. There's not a timeline like that. So it's a thought built on a thought, built on a thought, built on a thought. So you can look at it like an extrapolation. So there's the thought of separation, and then really fast it kind of like goes outward. You know, it's really figuratively speaking too. It's like it goes outward and it makes this whole world. There's just one thought of separation. So it's like it's a building. You can say it's a building on each other like that. But we don't have a timeline where we exist in this world from before till later. We don't really have something like that, except as a mental construct. So we have it, we can talk about it like, oh yeah, that was last week, that was that, or whatever. It's for making sense of things, and which is, you know, a totally illusory sense of it, right? Just so that you can go, oh, let's meet over here at 1:00 or something like that, you know. But there's nothing like that. And the reason I'm saying that there's nothing like that is because the past has no effect. It has no effect because it's being projected now. So when you say, well, before this person acted like this and this and this and this, so I know how they are, you're wrong. Because there's not a past like that. See? It's like, it's like, I've seen him do it like this before, but you don't really know. You don't really know. So it's like there's no attachment to it. Like I could say, okay, my husband is probably going to go out to this land pretty soon and build a freaking awesome place. Because I've seen before that when he gets excited about something, he goes for it. Do I give a shit if he does it? No. That's the thing. So people will use the past to try to make it like that means that that's how it's supposed to go. You don't know. You have no idea how it's supposed to go. And since there's no future, there's nothing to long for. That's why I say those things. Since there's no future, there's nothing to long for because nothing is coming. That is projected now. There's only now. And the longing itself produces more to long for, produces a lack. It actually produces a sense of lack. So that gives you more to long for. It's like it multiplies this illusion that you're not complete. I'm incomplete. I still feel incomplete. It's another thing. Okay, I got that thing. Wow, that was a lot of work. Wow, that was a lot of conflict. All right, I need another thing now. Let's go this way. You know. When these manifestations can just be coming so easily because they're not interesting in that way to you. Oh, so what if they do? So what if they don't? Oh, I spend $1 million, I make $1 million. It's not a difference. No difference. It's the same. I'm 300 pounds, I'm 120 pounds. Doesn't matter, it's all the same. I'm happy, I'm sad. I'm happy about this, I'm sad about this. You're not happy about things or sad about things. That's not true. Those things don't have the power to sway you like that. The swaying is first and then the things. The idea that you could be unhappy makes the illusion of things that seem to make you unhappy, but they can't. They don't have any power to do that. So every time there's this reaffirmation, and it's something that I hear around Puna, this affirmation, I feel sad because, no, you don't. That's just making the illusions true. That's just giving justification for a feeling that has no justification at all. And it's really a projection of guilt. I feel sad because I saw you kissing Billy or something like that. No, you don't. I'm using the idea that I saw you kissing Billy to attack myself and make myself feel sad. That's more like it. I'm using it. I'm doing it. I want to feel sad about that, so I don't know what I'm really sad about. I want to pretend like I'm sad that my dog died, so I won't. Even my kid, make it as grave as that. Go ahead. I want to be sad because my kid died. It's true. You want that. You know, it really, if you're honest, you'd be like thanking that kid for giving you that sense that you wanted. Thank you. Thank you for arising and passing like that. When they seem to condemn you, thank you. That's perfect for me. Whatever feeling reaction that arises as a result of it, that's what I know I wanted. And that's why I made the person appear to me like that. And I'm so glad because just like me, they are also kept safe in the Creator, completely shielded from any of my nasty ass thoughts about them. Those don't touch them. They don't do anything. But they also don't have an effect on my mind if there's willingness to learn. Or you could say, allow the ego to be taught. See? And the ego itself learns to be a happy learner.
Or unlearner.
Yeah. Well, the ego learns about who you are. You teach. You teach the ego. But when you think you're teaching another person's ego, that's you learning from the ego, not teaching the ego. If you think you have something to teach another person's ego, that's the ego teaching you. You're being receptive to ego. Because you know what you're missing is that your perception, you're having a perception of them operating under the influence of ego is coming from ego. And you would need to use ego to analyze them. It's not like that at all. You're having a perception of them is coming from you. So if you perceive ego in them, go back to the source of where the perception of ego came from. They don't have an ego just like you don't. But you can bet that if you had a perception of ego in them, that you too are joined for healing. And in that, it just takes one. It just takes one of them, one of the players. They go, oh, I know what this is for. And everyone gets a release. Everyone involved gets released like that. Eventually, everyone will start making the choice for truth. But before everyone's making the choice for truth, it's the responsibility of the one who has more in that moment. It's kind of like a real generosity. It's like you have more in that moment to share. They may have more in another moment to share. But in that moment, you have more to share, so you offer it. When you have a perception of them being with an ego or under the influence of the ego and taking responsibility for that yourself, that's the ultimate generosity. Because it just lets them completely off the hook for something that you made them out to be. And it's healing for you and them. Everyone benefits from it. Oh, they were just acting from their ego.
So all you're doing is just pinning the error on the person that you don't like about that person.
Yes, it's putting the error in your mind onto a person. That's exactly it. And while you have it pinned to the person that seems to be out there, you can't see or ask for correction for the error in your mind. So while you have that person out there being under the influence of the ego, you cannot see how your mind is under the influence of the ego. That's why you don't need to go around correcting anyone. Correcting people is the opposite of asking for a correction.
So that means healing or anything. Physician, heal thyself. Huh?
Yes, it's in your own mind. Even when I talk about heal the sick and raise the dead, it's in your own mind. That's something that the mind has the power to. Even raise the dead. That's something the mind has the power to do. But we made it into this limited thing that doesn't have any power. I mean, where there's willingness to see this, it'll start being seen more and more. That's why I'm so grateful to share it with you guys. And I sense the willingness here. I sense the willingness in this space, and from the people who come on Wisdom Dialogues online too. And I appreciate that so much. That's such a blessing. It's like once the mind reaches a point where there's enough belief, we're going to see it. But you have to believe before you see it. That's the way it goes. Oh, show me evidence of it in a world that's meant to say that you're guilty and limited. Sure, that'll happen. Never. Never. It'll just keep on going on forever and ever and ever and ever. Not for eternity, but for just as long as this thing is kept up spinning like this. You know, it's like we're making this thing like keep it's totally in motion. It has to have a motion to get this sense, like there's all this solid stuff all around us, and then it's just kind of like slowed down to this one specific timeline that has to do about your life. But they've all been lived. They're useless. They're not going anywhere. They're meaningless. All the longings, all the frustrations, all the upsets, all the joys of getting something in the world, you know, it's just nothing. There's nothing here. It's taking a lot of effort, in fact, to keep it spinning. That's why I always say you can relax a little bit more. Always. No matter how relaxed you think you are. Watch, you may be able to do an experiment with it. I've done experiments with that. Can I really just keep on relaxing? Yeah, until you get to a place where you're like so freaking scared. You got to like come back. Yeah, you can always relax a little bit more and come up against that that fear. And you know, you're only going to take as much as you can take, and then you're going to come back. But if you let yourself go, you get up against something that's like, whoa, wait a second. I want to go past that. And you see for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Just like go, oh, I can relax a little bit more. Start with that before you ever even get close to approaching that sense of fear of losing the whole world. Before you even get close to that sense, you know, just the sense of, oh, I can relax a little bit more like that. It gets you on that track so to speak. It's like it gets you on that journey that you're meant to take with spirit to see through this illusion. So whenever there's any sense, and at any time, you could be watching a show or, I don't know, listening to music, hanging out with your friends, the thought occurs to you, oh, I could relax a little bit more. And you let that be. Watch. It'll unfold for you. It'll present itself to you. But every time you get caught up in something, you're pushing it away. That doesn't mean you lose anything. You don't lose any ground. So don't think of it like that. It's kind of like wasting it away. It's almost like, one way I've heard it said is the body is like food for consciousness, right? It's like this body is like this, it's constantly being eaten away by consciousness until it's dead, right? So as this thing is being eaten away, use it. Yeah? If you're getting the illusion of this thing being eaten away, make good use of it. Don't waste it. Okay? If you waste it, it's okay. You'll get another one. Do it again and again and again and again and again. It never ends. Yes.
Are there practices that bring one more to the point of realizing the illusion? I know it's different for each person, but the thought occurred to me of discipline and really sort of being steadfast around staying awake, breathing deeper, breathing fuller, being more conscious about the fact that this actually is a play.
Yes.
But my energy state oftentimes determines my capacity to see that.
Yes,
And
definitely.
So practices and disciplines I find oftentimes allow me to be more awake.
Yeah, it could seem like that. Just don't put a whole bunch of weight on them like that. Like any practice, just hold it really lightly, because what happens is if the practice itself becomes the routine for you, it becomes like almost like the object that you want to attain to. You're gonna find yourself using that kind of to do the opposite of what you wanted, because that becomes more of the focal. The mind is really susceptible to becoming what's the word? Intertwined with what it thinks the practice should be. And so then that'll affect the emotional state because of what's thought about that. So then that'll make it so that you will think you're being more conscious when you've had your spiritual practice, but won't really know what's going on. It's like really a way to make it confusing. So that's why I would just like get that completely out of my mind and let the practice come as it does. See? Because if you're thinking about a practice and thinking about something that you can practice in the world to get you there, that's not the presence right there. It's like trying to make presence in the future that doesn't exist. See, it's still trying to use the world. That's why there's not anything wrong with it. It's all part of it. People go through these kind of phases, like, like my son right now, thinking that he needs to work out and he needs to do something about it. Maybe, just get more motivated like that. It's really cute to watch because it's like how the ego works. Okay, I'm going to get more motivated to see through this illusion, to be more conscious all the time. You don't have to work that hard though, because you see, when you get the perception that you were not present, that's a beautiful learning. When you just get the perception that you were not present, that is perfect for you. So you don't really need any practice. You don't really need any practice. On any level, you don't need to be having any practice, because all you can do is observe and choose. Choose love or fear, truth or illusion. That's all. Nothing else is going on. And I could say from my own experience that I perceive practices going on. I just perceive them arising. But it's like, what am I doing right now? I don't know. Let's see. I would go to the memory and it'll tell me what I've been doing for practice, and I don't really give a shit. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant. Nothing happened. And then everything's just for play. Everything's just for fun. I'll find myself in practices. Find myself in heart practice a lot. Yoga practice. Rolling practice. But for the most part, for the most part, I find myself hearing the voice of the Spirit. And that is really, for me, that's all I want to hear. So when there's other kinds of thoughts occupying my mind and I'm willing to hear the voice of the Spirit, that becomes the real practice. Not anything else that I could be doing. It's just like offering a little bit of willingness. Offering it if I feel upset, if I feel like I've done it wrong, if I feel like I wasn't listening well enough, for instance, that's enough opportunity to listen. There's not the past of me not listening in the past. There's just an illusion that I'm this image that didn't listen in the past. But since that's not true, I can accept my guidance right now. And be made glad now. That's the thing. I know for sure if I feel any way out of sorts, frustrated or anything, any way out of sorts, I am mistaken. And I know if I have a perception of someone else thinking that something is out of source, there is a mistake that's asking for compassion. Not they have it. Not they have it. There is a mistake asking for compassion, asking for forgiveness. And that can be allowed right now through me. I don't have to express anything to them. I don't have a choice in it. But right now, through me, with the willingness to see that that's not over there, that it's coming from my mind. It's like, oh, there is such and such. That's not really about them. Where there's willingness to see that, healing happens. Because forgiveness happens. I've talked about how the forgiveness, real forgiveness, is forgiving them for what they did not do. They could not do. They could not do that thing or say that thing that you thought they said. And the same thing with yourself, forgiving yourself for what you could not do. You could not be present or not present. You don't have a choice in that. What justifies that is what you're taking to be true. What justifies the choice you make, take it what you're taking to be true. In consciousness. So hooray!
Yay.
Do we have more questions?
It seems like what's happening that this world is based on separation. So there's fear, which is separation and destruction, and there's love, which is union and creation. So it seems like this apparent virus, the fear, and then all the separation it's creating. Apparently, everyone has to be isolated 6 feet away. People getting arrested for hugging and stuff is the inevitable result, outcome of a world based on separation and the destruction that leads to disease and death. That this is just the inevitable outcome of such a world based on separation and fear. Whereas you say the compassion, the love, which would want to bring people together to join, to cooperate, to share, to forgive, and to coexist in peace. That's maybe because now this is playing out to such a grand extent that it's meant to the old order is pass away to bring forth. The Course in Miracles says the end of the world isn't its destruction, but its translation into heaven. Where we're wanting this heaven.
Yeah, this is just going to dissolve, though.
Yeah.
This is just going to dissolve.
Right.
It's actually, you're going to see through it.
Yeah.
First, you're going to see the real world, the world that's created in love. So you might see it evolve into something, but ultimately it's just going to dissolve. It's not going to evolve into anything as long as you're holding it as if there's other people out there, though. That's the thing, because that comes according to your choosing to let that go. You're choosing to surrender that. You're choosing to take responsibility. It's not like you can say, well, my mind is peaceful and then I see this turmoil going on out there. It's not like that. You have to take responsibility for it. If your mind is 100% peaceful, you won't see a world of separation at all. So the whole thing with seeing a world of separation is for undoing it, is for allowing the more peace into your mind until it's completely full of peace and there's no more shred of an idea of sin in there, an idea of a guilty person. See?
Well, I guess the idea is there's only one self. There's not a lot of selves, myself and all 7.5 billion people. It's all one I am identity that we all share in common.
Yes, that's it. And that needs to be applied to every situation. That's what I'm saying. It actually needs to be applied to the situations. It can't be this lip service of it's all one, there's only one of us, even though there's 7.5 billion, and then those guys over there are in this turmoil. They're not. They're not really there. They're totally protected, just like you. You think they're in turmoil because you think you're in turmoil. And then at the same time, give lip service to it's all one and I have a peaceful mind. See? That's how it's going to get healed. When you actually see that and watch it and watch it resolve on its own because you see it. Your awareness is like light that just dissolves mist. It's like sunlight.
So you're not healing other people, you're just healing the idea that there are other people.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, look at it like that. Look at it like that.
Yeah, that's what they asked Ramana Maharshi, how are we supposed to treat other people? And he says there are no other people.
Yes. So hooray. We're going to have a song by Leia. We may or may not cut off because my battery's low. I was doing a video today. I wasn't expecting that. And yeah. So I love you. And here's a beautiful song.
Can we point the camera her way?
Yeah.
No need.
No need. Okay, what I'm going to do is do this then.
I love you.
We'll wave at the wisdom dialogue.
This song is a song of gratitude.
Yay.
Because gratitude is such an important key that I have discovered in my life. And this song is the first song that came through this year. And it's called Grateful for This Day.
Aloha, everyone. I love you.